Welcome to Clicks to Recovery, the podcast where we break down how digital marketing actually drives real admissions for addiction recovery centers. I'm your host, Tommy Anderson. And if you're running a treatment center, leading admissions, or responsible for filling beds with the right clients, not just more leads, you're in the right place. Because here's the reality. Clicks are really easy to buy, but quality patients, that's a different game entirely. On this show, we're diving into what's working right now with Google and Meta ads, how to attract high-intent prospects, and how to avoid the costly mistakes that flood your pipeline with the wrong people. We'll be talking strategy, sharing real data, and bringing in people from the front lines who are doing this every single day. So whether you're looking to scale, stabilize, or just stop wasting money on bad leads, this podcast is built for you. Let's get into it. All right. Well, today we are joined here with Aaron Nelson. Aaron Nelson is our director of paid ads. I'm lucky to have him. He's a busy guy. A lot of people in our company are constantly pulling you to take a look at accounts and try to touch some levers to make things better. So, Aaron, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. As director of paid advertising, I am over all of our products from Google to Meta to YouTube to anything else that we might be putting money into for our clients, right? So I'm looking at the strategy for those different clients. I'm looking at our overall book of business, looking at all of our clients and looking for strategies and commonalities and things that I can pull out so that I can improve our strategies, so that I can move us forward and deliver a better product for everybody that we're servicing.
You're probably one of the most fun people just to poke when we're in the office, just to say like it gets quiet and I'm like, Aaron, what are you working on? Like the other day I walked over there and you were analyzing like how much ad spend worth of audience data and exactly what were you looking at again?
About $21 million worth of ad spend, for hundreds of different audiences. So we were just trying to pull out, okay, what can we learn from all of this data that we've collected over, so many different years and so much different ad spend for so many different companies, so that we can pull out which audiences are working, which are not, what commonalities do we see, or groups of audiences can we just stop targeting? What are not leading to contracts or not leading to bookings for us? How can we apply that strategy to Meta, to YouTube, to any of our other products as well?
And what's so cool is when you're managing that sort of volume, you can really get granular with the data to see what matters and what doesn't matter, right?
Absolutely, because we have so many different clients, because we have so much different ad spend, there's a lot of data in there that I can look at, that I can pull out, and I can create strategies that work across so many different clients.
And we are jumping into like chapter 10 right now, and this sounds a lot like the conversations I have with you in the office. Like, Aaron, what are you doing? Right? So let's start from the beginning. Who are you? Talk to me about your experience in marketing just in general. I'll let you go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've been in marketing for about 17 years. I've been primarily in agencies over that time, working with a lot of different industries, from everywhere from e-commerce to lead gen to healthcare to real estate, experience across all of it, and I've started to specialize more in these specific categories. I mean, especially in healthcare, it's been one of my favorites to work in, because you're making a difference in people's lives. Mm-hmm. It's a really meaningful work, and it's really meaningful to me to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it fits our mission, right? I mean, like we have determined that our strategy is elite. It works really, really well. So we want to make sure that whatever space we go into, we're using our powers for the right reason, if you will, right? Is that not it, right? I mean, we want to help these treatment centers make sure that their marketing dollars are going towards the right places and it's working. And ultimately, the end product is people are changing their lives and getting towards recovery.
Absolutely.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, we're here to talk about addiction recovery. So let's dive into it. What makes running ads for these treatment centers fundamentally different than any other area or industry that you've ever been in?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of reasons. I mean, one of the largest is the policy restrictions, right? It's a very regulated space, and it needs to be, because there were a lot of troubles with that early on, with people getting scammed or with people getting pushed into recovery and it not lasting. And so it's a highly regulated space. You have to work within Google's policies, within Meta's policies, within whatever platform that you're working. And you need to make sure that you're staying within these privacy laws. So there's a lot of regulation on it. I'd say as well, it's the audience that you're speaking to, because you're not, a lot of the time, you're not speaking directly to the end customer. You're speaking to their families. You're speaking to people that are worried about them. You know, it's a wholly different funnel that you're working with, and a wholly different set of values and trust that you need to build with that person.
Totally. I was just at NATAP last week in Amelia Island, and Legit Script was actually, they did a presentation there, which was really interesting, and they kind of talked about their evolution of how they came to be in this space, just because there's been so many bad actors and so many people taken advantage of. So, you know, Legit Script is obviously a huge part of what happens in this space. Correct?
Absolutely, yeah. They're a great partner. They are Google's, you know, third-party watchdog pretty much across the board for them. But they work with a lot of different companies, and they're a great partner.
And Lever 11 will help sort of, you know, if you're not authorized by Legit Script, we can
help you work through that process. Absolutely. The other thing that I would say that's different in this space is the motivations are different, right? If you're working in e-commerce or you're working in B2B, right? People want this product. They're excited about it. A lot of times it's a like impulse purchase. This is completely different. It's a completely different mindset.
And that was actually, you're segueing me beautifully to the next question, because I think that, you know, especially I've talked to so many different centers, and it sounds like for the most part, they're kind of with general agencies that are they have their hands in multiple different industries. So one of my questions was like, how is this different than, you know, a general agency that's taking on like e-commerce and other things like that? Like, what do we focus on? What's the advantage of going with an agency that specializes in this space?
Yeah, so a lot of generalist agencies are going to run with a pretty standard B2B approach, right? They're going to look for, okay, where can I get cheaper clicks that will lead to cheaper leads, that will lead to the phone ringing, right? And get you into that intake funnel or get you into that form, right? With addiction recovery, leads, a massive volume of leads is not necessarily going to lead to a lot of bookings. And you also have to deal with a massive volume of leads one-on-one. Within this industry, it's important that you're dealing with people one-on-one, rather than in a lot of industries, you can send them through kind of a very generalized sales funnel. Whereas this, you need a more specialized and a more personable approach. And so that type of shotgun approach, where you're just getting a bunch of leads into the funnel, is not effective, and it's very time consuming, and the burnout, it leads to a lot of burnout within your staff.
Absolutely. And people underestimate that a lot too, right? They'll come to an agency and say, I need more leads or more phone calls.
Right.
Right. And it's really what we try to cut through that and say, wait, I know what you're saying.
You need more bookings.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. You need more admissions. You need more quality ones. And so what you're saying is that going with a specialized agency, just to sum this up in simple terms, is we're going to optimize the things that happen deeper in the funnel. And you can speak about that.
Yeah. And that's incredibly important in an industry like this, when you have a volume of people that are going to be doing research, they're going to be looking into these things, but only so many people that are actually going to be booking. And you need to get down to the data on, okay, who are the people that are actually ready to take action on that right now, rather than just looking for information right now.
The value of the conversion can differ so much.
Oh yeah. If you're looking just at leads, there's so much noise out there. And it's hard to cut through that without optimizing towards actual bookings and looking at the data that's further down the funnel, so that we can pull that out and say, okay, where did they come from and what was their journey like to get there?
Do you want to touch on, like, how do you do it, right? Like how do you actually can you tell Google, like, hey, this was a good conversion or a good phone call?
Eventually, yeah. Yeah, so what we would do is we would track that whole process. Right, we're looking for, down at the bottom of the funnel, we're looking at beds filled, we're looking at bookings that happen, we're looking at people actually going into centers and booking in. Once that happens, we can feed that data back into Google, and we can say, okay, this person that came to your website at some point is a really good lead is someone that eventually got to that point. Where did that begin? And Google can tie that back to those. You have to work within certain policies and regulations in this industry to help that happen. But there are ways to do that so that you can track that back to the original click.
Let me get you to nerd out a little bit. Give me an example of like how you would track that back to where it began. Okay, this person came through and it was the type of emission that we want to help. It was the type of person that we're seeking. Talk to me about like what that looks like tracking all the way back to what? To what they're searching online?
Right, yeah.
What are some valuable data points?
Yeah, so, I mean, if we're talking about Google, right, where top level, they make a click on some keyword that you are targeting, some search term that matched with that keyword, right?
So they search.
Yep, they search.
They search something. Let's start right from the beginning.
Yep, they search that in, your ad pulls up somewhere on that page and they've decided to click on it. So once they click to that, you get certain identifiers that feed back into Google. And then once they take an action on that page, they could fill out a form, they could make a phone call. You have a conversion action set off of whatever that conversion action looks like. And that's what a lot of companies will optimize towards.
So they'll just optimize to, hey, if they clicked on my ad and called me or filled out a form, they're essentially high-fiving Google.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, okay. And that's what they're telling Google. Yep, that's exactly what we want.
Was that informational? Was that transactional? Was that a spam?
Right.
Lead? Was that Google doesn't know, but you're sending in a signal saying, high five.
Good job. Let's get more of that. We want more of that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so once they take that action, they become a lead within the customer CRM. They are then, the client has all of their information so that they can then contact them, so that they can then have them as a lead in their system, and they'll continue to follow up with them and go through the whole process, whether they need like intervention services or whatever your
inpatient, outpatient, drug treatment,
whatever you're offering, that becomes. The client then follows up with them. And then once they get to a point where they identify, okay, this is a person that is ready to book, that is a really qualified and a ready individual for treatment.
Sure.
Right? Then they can send us back some of that information. Again, within policy, within regulation.
Because there is HIPAA rules
exactly.
And regulations.
We don't want to get back any personally identifiable information or first-party data. But they can feed us back certain information that tells us, okay, that click originated from this certain keyword and search term that you had within Google.
Interesting. So you're essentially now, as opposed, so what we've seen is that there's the majority of agencies that are operating in the behavioral health industry, like for addiction recovery centers and treatment centers, when they run an ads campaign, they're setting a goal of, hey, we want to optimize to them clicking on our ad, filling out a form or phone call. As long as they do that, they'll high five Google.
Yep, and they'll tell them, yep, we want more of that, whatever led to that, whether it was a spam, whether it was whatever.
But at level 11, we're going to take the next step and say, hey, we got the click, we got the form fill, we got the phone call, but before we actually give Google the proverbial high five, we want to see how that dispositions through your funnel.
Right, and we use all of that data, right? And there might be multiple steps in there. You might have a verification of benefits as an intermediary conversion as well. And so we can use all of that data to track back how effective that lead was. Yeah. And then we can use all of those data points to paint a picture for Google, because Google runs on data. Google runs on that conversion data, and bookings are going to be they're not going to be, you're not going to get a volume enough of booking conversions to feed into Google's algorithm to give it enough data to optimize off of it. For most clients, you need a lot of data. And so that's part of why, we operate in this niche to gather a lot of clients in the same industry, so that we can see those patterns. And
it's almost like sharing a conversion tracking pixel. Would that be a proper way to say it?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Correct me, right? I'm just the host.
You can utilize a lot of the same data.
Okay.
But as well, we can utilize the data. We do still utilize the data from someone. Someone made that form fill. Someone made that call, and then someone did a verification of benefits, and then they booked, or they became a client or filled a bed.
Okay.
Right. So at that bottom stage of the funnel, we're not only optimizing towards that because we want to feed Google so much data, but we are primarily optimizing off of that. We're giving the most weight to that conversion so that Google knows that is the ultimate goal. And then we're using that data to weight towards ad groups and keywords that lead to that outcome.
It sounds like, Aaron, then what is crucial in running an effective ads campaign that's consistent and is scalable and is predictable is there has to be a massive relationship between us, the ads manager, and the actual center, because you're talking about collecting data after the phone call or the form fill. We don't know what happened, so how do we get that?
No, communication is huge. The first step of that is we get on the phone with clients and we talk with them about, okay, this lead came through, how's that looking? What was your kind of impression of that? We're making sure that we're communicating with them on, okay, what are you seeing from our ads campaigns on your end?
They're obviously, if I'm working in admissions, I'm getting, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 calls a day, whatever it might be, depending on the center. They're obviously not going to tell you, Aaron, like how every single phone call. So how are you collecting the data?
Yeah, so we are still relying on them to feedback in some of that data from their CRM.
Okay.
Right, we're in a HIPAA compliant way, we can still feed some of that data back into Google Ads with offline conversion data and whatnot, so that we can track that down. But that communication and that handshake is very important.
Awesome. So to tie a bow on all this, there's two different ways you could run an ads campaign, right? I mean, you could really focus on that top of funnel strategy where it's like, look, I know my client or my center, they want as many clicks and phone calls and form fills, and you could tell Google, hey, as long as they complete that, we'll say, Google, go find that again.
Yeah.
There's a second way you can do that. When we talk about optimizing to things that happen deeper in the funnel, it's that sort of closed loop communication back to your ads campaign where Google's understanding what sort of users behind which keyword, behind which click, behind which form fill worked.
Yeah.
And you can make that repeatable and predictable.
Yeah. No, and that way you're not just getting this shotgun approach where occasionally you're getting a lead in. You might get a bunch one month, or you might not get as many in terms of bookings or that final end point. You repeat something that's very scalable and that's more predictable so that you have more consistent bookings. And
on top of that, so I want to talk about, since I was just at NATAP, and obviously I'm curious, hence why I host a podcast. I keep you here all night asking questions, right? And so I was just curious about metrics and KPIs and how some of these centers were actually like, hey, like, what's your cost per click? What's your conversion rate? Which landing pages work? Do you guys separate it into ad groups? Like, what's your cost per admission? What's your fallout? Like, all these things. I was really having a hard time getting those answers. So is that a problem and that is a problem? Wouldn't you agree? If you don't know exactly how every single dollar is behaving through your funnel, there is a fundamental issue with that, because if you don't know it, your agency might be marketing in the dark. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, that communication is very important. We need to understand, okay, how much can you spend to fill a bed? How much is it worth to you? What margins are you kind of operating off of so that we can do the best work that we can? Right? We need to know how many beds you have available so that we can, again, book towards that and spend towards that when we're managing the campaigns.
So when your agency is talking to you, those are things that they need to be asking. Hey, what is a conversion or an admission worth you? Yeah. What are you willing to spend on that? Because your agency should be able to reverse engineer that.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, especially if you're digging down to the final action, right? You can tell how much you've spent to get that booking.
If it's not too deep in the weeds, we're kind of going there anyway, right? I mean, sure. Let's go there. When we talk about bid strategies, the most common bid strategy I've seen is a max conversions bid strategy. I kind of want you to talk to me about like what we use here at Lever 11, why we use that, and sort of the progression of that, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I'd say the most effective ones, there are kind of a couple of different approaches you could take in this space, right? You could go with a target CPA bid strategy where you determine um, how much you want to spend on each lead, and then we also look at where are those leads coming from that actually lead to bookings. And so we can be more aggressive on those keywords that are leading to bookings and leading to some of these high intent actions that are down the funnel. We can lean into those. We can set a higher target CPA on those specific types of keywords. A step up from that would be a target ROAS strategy, where we look at each of these different conversion actions that you have, and we assign out a value to them that tells Google how much they're worth to the company. So as I was talking about with that final action, with that booking action or bed filled, we can tell it, okay, that's worth $15,000 to the business or whatever. Whereas a lead is worth $50. And so it's leaning into that high funnel, that end of funnel action more prominently than it is to these higher funnel actions, but they're all worth something to the business. We're telling it, yeah, leads are good, but really where the money is down funnel.
Awesome. So can you tell me just for our listeners out there too, who might not know what we're talking about, you're talking about some target bid strategies like a target cost per acquisition or action, a target return on ad spend. Those are very, very targeted towards bottom of funnel functions that we like to hang out. But I see so many agencies hang out in maximize conversions. What's the difference between max conversions and some of these targeted bid strategies?
Yeah, max conversions is set up to get you the most conversions for your budget. And typically you're feeding in leads, right? So we want to get as many phone calls, as many form fills as we can for our budget. And it doesn't matter what type of conversion. So you could just put all of your conversions in that bucket and say, okay, get as many as you can, and then Google is going to naturally go towards the higher funnel actions because you're valuing them all the same. And so
it's not actually bidding on value.
No, not at all. It's bidding towards, okay, I'm just going to get the most conversions I can because that's what you're telling it to do.
Yeah.
I want the most conversions for my budget. I just want to get the most form fills, the most phone calls, whatever it is. I want to get all of that in there. But the problem with that is, like we talked about, you burn out your team with really bad leads. You spend your time chasing these leads that don't lead anywhere. Yeah. And you're filling up your phone line the entire time.
I tell this to people all the time, it's not that it won't work. It's that we're trying to create an efficient, well-structured, repeatable, predictable business. And that starts within an ads campaign. If you made it this far, you already know most centers aren't struggling with traffic. They're struggling with getting the right patients. If you want to see what that looks like for your center, click the link below and we'll walk you through exactly what's working right now. So that max conversions bid strategy, it absolutely can work if your business is structured to take on as many phone calls, no matter what, people that are, not that high intent, informational spam, wrong number, and also some qualified. If your team is set up for that max conversions, it can work, right? But if you want a team that is structured, or a marketing channel ads campaign that's bringing in structured, high intent, repeatable, predictable leads, you have to go with those target bid strategies. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's so much noise out there that you are always going to be getting so many of those leads coming in, and it looks great from your agency's perspective, right? I'm generating tons of leads at a really low cost. And they're going to feel good about themselves, but they don't know that on the back end they're failing to get you anything on the bottom line.
I hate to say it, but clients have sort of formed this in the digital marketing space. Like, I want a cheap cost per lead. But we have ran so many studies that actually the higher cost per lead you pay, the more efficient you are, the more profitable you are, even if the cost per acquisition is the same versus a ton of leads at cheap versus a small amount of leads at expensive. Your business can be more profitable by being more efficient. So clients have definitely condition agencies to focus on that top of funnel where it's like, give me the cheapest cost per lead possible. And audience out there, you might not like to hear it, but our goal is not to get you the cheapest cost per lead.
Yeah.
right? We want, if we could get a 1-to-1 ratio, that'd be the greatest thing ever. Obviously, that's never going to happen. But we want to get you high-valued leads.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, every lead that comes in is going to cost you something to follow up on it, to have someone on the phone with it, right? So, if you have 150 leads to a booking or to a bed filled, every one of those is costing you. If you have qualified leads, you have to follow up less. You can have fewer people on the phones and more people doing other things for your business. It's a more strategic approach so that you don't have to use as many resources, and so that we can get you the most targeted and highest efficient cost per booking rather than lead.
And I hate to try to be like salesy here, but that is the fundamental difference between what we're doing here and what every other agency we're doing in the space is we're trying to create an efficient and a lean, high intent ads campaign. It's going to protect your team. It's going to create a ton of efficiency. And ultimately, look, you hate to talk about profitability in the behavioral health industry, but you guys have to be profitable to help people. It's a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
we're always kind of walking that line, right? It's like these are businesses.
Right.
We understand why these centers are open and the purpose behind them, but they are ultimately businesses, right? Like we have to talk dollars and cents and profitability at some point.
But the more successful you are as a business, the more people you can help.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line, if you're not profitable, you can't expand. You can't move into other types of treatment. You can't expand into more beds. You can't do any of this growth without first being successful. No, the reason that we're going for these really high intent leads are that those are the people that are ready for treatment right now. Those are the people that you can help right now, right? And if you're tying up your resources and you're not getting on the phone with them, you are missing out on those opportunities. Those people, typically your window of opportunity is very short. From the first search that they do for help to going into a center for treatment is typically 3 to 5 days. And that window of opportunity where they're open to treatment and where they are willing to get help is very short. If you're not able to communicate with them and work with them during that period, you might lose that opportunity. And so having these more high intent leads for people that are really ready for treatment now can both help your business and help them on this side.
A big part of when I was at NATAP last week, there was just a lot of AI buzz. A lot of people there that were talking AI applications and AI in EMR, like the medical records, and AI in their CRMs. Nobody there was talking about AI within their ads campaigns. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because Google is moving more away from granular control and into more AI automated bid strategies and tactics, right? And in order to get the best out of Google with that AI, you have to have the best data. You have to be feeding it the right information. So this tactic where we are optimizing towards a lower funnel, like bookings and things, feeding that data back into AI is incredibly effective, because in order to get good out of AI, you have to put good in.
Right.
So the better your data is, the more effective it's going to be into the future. As these AI tools evolve and as they become more intelligent, the better data you can give to them to work with, the better outputs you're going to get from them.
Cool. So the more granular data that you can collect on what exactly we're looking for, the better the AI can make predictions. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it's also the more data that you have, the more that it can analyze, the better it can do, which is one reason that it's good to work with a specialized agency, because we have data from so many different data points that we can feed into different models and algorithms, and we can see where those patterns lie and where the future is, so that we can implement those strategies and tactics within your business.
There's that obvious talk out there. It's like, well, I just use ChatGPT for everything, or Claude, or Copilot for everything. So answer me this: like, does Google search sponsored ads? And so Does that still hold a place in this industry?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even today, still 61% of searches where people are looking for a treatment center start on a search engine.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and so you absolutely still need to be there because that's the moment when people need help. It's when they're looking for a solution. It's when they're crying for help.
People still trust Google for big lifetime. I tell this to people all the time. People trust Google for big life decisions, whether it's insurance, childcare, attorneys,
Right.
automobiles, real estate, treatment centers, like they trust Google.
Exactly, and trust is a big thing. It's a huge thing in an age of AI, right? And Google is still a place that people trust a lot, and they want to do a lot of research around this decision, right? And so they go to they trust a search engine like that where they can get multiple different answers and opportunities and do their own kind of thinking, rather than just trusting AI.
And it's not to say that it is extremely important to make sure you have AI authority and AI visibility, and you're going to do that through SEO, which is obviously something that we do for our clients and offer for our clients, which we'll get into in a whole other episode. We're here to talk paid ads with you, but I just want to make sure that I get that question all the time. Do people still click on sponsored ads in this industry and click on the organic blue listings and Google business profiles? And the answer, it sounds like, is overwhelmingly yes.
Oh yes, yeah. All the time. You're still getting a huge amount of volume through on Google search. It's important to be present on both, really. You want to make sure that everyone who is looking for help, you're present as long as they are ready to take action. And so it's important on the SEO side that you have that domain authority, that you have all those pieces, but also that you understand what's going to lead to that final action. And that's where those two can go hand in hand, is where we can see all of this data on what is working on the Google Ads side, and we can feed that into our SEO and AI strategy so that you can be targeting the right things.
And I get the question all the time of what are your best clients or what are your best centers doing? And they're creating that holistic view online. They're moving horizontally in their market across multiple marketing channels. Imagine if you really are dominating Google's real estate in that space, in that search space, you can show up under sponsored ad, under Google Business Profile, under the map pack, and underneath organic listing, right? Underneath the organic blue links.
Yeah.
That's 4 times. Then you can start talking about, well, also if you have a good authority score, you're going to show up on ChatGPT and Claude and Copilot and Gemini, and then you're also running Facebook ads and meta ads and on Instagram and on YouTube, right? These are all things that Lever 11 does. For that reason, we are creating an authority in your space. So we're capturing intent through Google, but we're also being informational through YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and showing up on AI platforms. Would you agree with that, creating a holistic view across multiple channels?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, as we talked about earlier, you're not just hitting the people that need treatment, right? You're building a brand to their families, to the people that care about them. And so by not only focusing on one channel and being present in different places, you can create a network that works so that people who are looking to help their loved ones are aware of you and you have a trust in this space before they make that decision.
Could you theoretically just run sponsored ads? Like, I have a website, I just built it, it doesn't have an SEO score, like it doesn't have a good authority score, AI doesn't know who I am, I don't really have a Google business profile. Could I just, let's say I'm a smaller center, right? Could I literally just get admissions just running a sponsored ad campaign, a PPC campaign?
You could, yeah. I would say in that situation where you're a smaller center and you don't have the budget or the resources to build out all of these things, I would look for, where do you specialize? What is your kind of niche treatment that really works, that we can really narrow down into and find the people that are looking specifically for what you offer. Those can work. We just need to narrow our focus so that we can spend your budget wisely and get to the people that are really high intent for your type of treatment.
How do you, so let me ask you like this, budget is a question that always comes up, and it is so important. And there is a perception out there that's like, well, I know somebody in my space that's spending buku bucks, right? Like 5, maybe even 6 figures in my market. So how could I possibly compete with them?
Right. No, you don't need to be spending up to that. Like we talked about, you identify what works for you and where you can really help people. What type of treatment do you offer? Are you trauma informed? Are you like a tough love type of center, right? What really works for you? What kind of people are you looking for? Let's narrow that down. Let's determine who your target market really is, who we can help, and let's spend in that category. You don't have to be spending $100,000. You can spend a few $1,000s to reach that very high intent market and get the bookings that you're really going to be able to help.
And I understand when centers approach me about budget, they feel like, hey, well, this is an auction-based platform, therefore whoever has the highest budget is always going to win. That's just not the case.
Yeah, no, it's true, because there are a lot of different factors within any type of advertising. There's a lot of different factors. It comes down to, can you establish trust with those people? What types of services do you offer that maybe differentiate you? What can we say in your ads to pull in the people that really are your target intent, that are really in your target market that you can really help?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, because it's always a tough question to answer, because I do understand where they're coming from. They feel like, I know somebody who spends 40 grand in my market, and like, if I don't have that budget, I'm just never going to compete. Therefore, I'm going to stay out of it. It's like, no, let's get you in this auction. There are ways that we can use any sort of budget, even if that is a relatively small budget, to help make your company visible.
Yeah. No, so when we focus on one single area, we can bid higher than a lot of your competitors can, because you are more competitive in that market. They are spreading their budget out across hundreds of different searches, whereas if we focus down on one, you could show up above them, or we could just make your ad so compelling that people are instead working towards you because you're offering exactly what they need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and thank you so much for commenting on that, because I know that there are a lot of centers out there that need sponsored ads to help their business, that are staying on the sidelines because they feel like they don't have enough budget.
Yeah.
And it's tough, because then the agency's like, no, come on board, and then they feel like, well,
am I getting tricked here?
Am I getting tricked here? Yeah, exactly. And we're here to tell you, we have a lot of clients that spend relatively small budgets that do very, very well.
Yeah. No, it's not top billing that gets you client. Well, it's not top billing that gets you bookings, that fills beds. It's not that top position on Google that is always going to be the end all of performance. If you can craft your messaging, if you deliver a better service for those people, mm-hmm. we can draw them in. We can get those people to click on your ads and to interact with you. Mm-hmm. You're much more likely to get that booking than someone that's just much more general.
Aaron, we're gonna have to have you back on, because I think this is like the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there is so much we could go into, and we can go a lot deeper. We could talk about other marketing channels and strategies and budgets, so forth. Signing off here, like, what's one thing you could tell any treatment center out there, either running ads or looking to run ads?
I'd say if you are thinking about running ads, it is definitely worth testing. There are people out there that you can help that are looking for your services, and it is worth looking into if you can find them through advertising. If you are running ads, I would say look for ways that you can cut through the noise. You don't just optimize towards that top of funnel, just the lead, because those are leading to burnout on your teams. They're leading to missed bookings with people that are really high intent, that are looking for your services.
Awesome. That was powerful. Aaron, thanks so much for coming on the show. I know you're a busy guy. We're so happy to have you. Hopefully you can make time in the future to continue this conversation.
Absolutely. No, happy to be here.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching the Clicks to Recovery podcast. If something you heard today makes you question your current marketing, don't ignore that. Click the link below and we'll run a full marketing audit, free of cost. We'll show you exactly where your leads are breaking down, where you're wasting spend, and what to fix to start bringing in the right patients.